Here we are, after party number 11 already. It's going quick.
Wow, yeah.
Today we're talking about 33, On the Dotted Line, 34, Kickstart My Heart, and 35, Packed Potions and Plans.
Look at you being all professional-like.
Yeah.
So prepared.
And Packed Potions and Plans gives me a bit of a hint.
I know.
After party about what's going on here.
The titles, the dotted line.
Yeah.
What are you talking about? Gozer got potions from Falsey.
Yeah.
Falsey made a deal with Izzy, and you all made plans to go to Port Randus. Very self-explanatory.
Oh, yeah. Very, very good. Yeah.
What were you thinking?
I thought we'd start.
Well,
the
Scry Wolf
we
thing.
don't talk about them.
We haven't even talked about Scry. You know, that kind of gave some away back in the day. But anyway, there's a lot that a lot of us haven't heard in these episodes. So the listener is all knowing, and we are not.
Absolutely. I feel like I'm lost on a lot of stuff now.
Yeah.
Especially these last 3 episodes.
Me too,
I feel,
man. Me too.
Yeah. I can imagine where Leland's at.
I don't know what the hell's happening.
Leland, do you like the fact that you know everything that's going on and we don't?
Surprisingly, no. Actually, I want those who missed out to hear those bits just as much as I want the regular listener to, because I know that we all enjoy each other's role play, and I mean, the way I look at it is that we're making a show that the 5 of us enjoy. So I want everyone to be able to enjoy it. So actually, the solo parts, as much as I love putting them together and having the chance for one-on-one stuff with each of you, it kind of sucks that you all don't get to hear it.
I think what sucks about for us is when I'm talking to people that listen, I gotta say, shut up, don't tell me anything. So we really can't talk about it. Well, everybody knows me. I say, shut up. Don't tell me anything, because I will, even the slightest comment, like, oh, well, whatever they said really wasn't all that important. I think that's what Ian said to us last night when we were at the game night. I was like, no, don't tell me it's not important. I want to believe it's important.
Right. That's funny.
So,
interesting.
He was referring to Bill's conversation, too.
I think it adds drama. For me, I feel a bit more tension when I'm like, oh, what are they recording without me on mic? Like, what's going on? What sort of scheming's happening?
All kinds of things.
Oh, I can only imagine. Gozer and Theft. So yeah, I think that adds a little bit of tension and drama for me, and I hope that it's interesting for the listeners too, to be like, to see how we role play with each other, having suspicions that maybe there's more going on than the rest of party members telling us or whatever. I don't know. I like it.
Yeah, and all that came out in session 35 when when Falzarin was trying to explain himself to the party, basically.
Right.
And Bryn's / Elena's clear frustration at at how long it may have taken Falzarin to spit it out, but.
All right, so let's start back at 33, right? The dotted line. So that's
we'll get there.
Let's see. That starts with the journey to Falzarin, is what I wrote.
Yeah,
down.
the last little bit. You guys had your third of 3 Karen encounters,
and we joked that we killed Falsey's ghost.
Yeah.
Is that the one where Thuft and Gozer promised me the topaz and then frickin' took it?
Didn't promise you anything.
Well, that was frustrating.
Promise is a strong word.
The third thing you guys fought out of that Karen, this one was a poltergeist, when the first 2 were just regular specters.
I couldn't tell a difference by looking at them.
Nope, couldn't tell by looking. But the poltergeist has telekinesis, so that it can pick and throw things up and stuff, right?
That's cool.
Mm-hmm.
Like a little goblin.
Poor Thuff was got the shit out of that stick.
Bryn walked away with just not enough jewels for all the damage she did, is all I'm saying.
Somehow Falzarin made out like a bandit from those.
I know!
That's because Shaft's got his back.
That whole thing pissed me off too, because I'm the one who is like, I gave Shaft the bag and then he's taking credit, but I was like...
It was very much in character, I think, for Falzarin to be thankful and believing that Shaft had his best interest at heart when he gave him his bag back, despite that being the farthest
But
thing
Bill
from
did
the
it to
truth.
annoy Elena. Exactly.
That's what I was going to say.
Exactly. You knew because you
Actually,
heard.
Shaft would have given you the bag back. Unfortunately, he was unconscious and dying when you decided to take it.
True, but
So I think I believe Shaft said that he would give the bag back to Falzarin if we found him alive.
that's true. Yeah.
And I never had the opportunity to actually show the good nature in giving you the bag back, as you decided, oh yeah, you got another death roll there, but I'll go ahead and take the bag.
When he gave you the credit, you took the credit. And then recording, Bill was listening, so he knew it would annoy me, so he did it. And he said what he said to annoy me.
I would never do that, honey.
Never.
Shaft has nothing against Falzarin whatsoever. He didn't want to risk his life for him, but he wouldn't wish him dead.
Right. Shaft is kind of like neither here nor there. As long as Shaft is not in danger, you're happy, basically.
Right. Well, and Bryn, on the other hand, was very adamant about coming to get you because she felt really guilty
Yes.
about you helping her. And then once we got out of the cave, she doesn't trust you at all now.
I know. It's been an interesting turn of events.
But I will say Shaft has treated you the same from beginning to end.
I will say
He's
that
consistent.
when
That's
we
true.
later decided that Bryn didn't see the whisper, I played that wrong. Like, I should have been more trusting. I shouldn't have been so skeptical. Gozer had a right to if he saw you whispering to her, but I apparently didn't. And I played it as if I did, so.
I think that was tough because Elena knew that I had a solo recording session with Leland that was all mysterious, that you've been wondering for, I don't know how long it was between that and our next play session, but
Months.
yeah.
It was like 7 months. For like near gestation of a human child. Elena's
Yes.
been wondering and pondering and writing scribbles on all the walls, trying to figure out what the hell's going on with Falzarin.
Yeah, there's
I
lots of
didn't even
pins and
care.
red thread all over our corkboard here.
Oh, shush.
Right in the middle is Isabella.
Yeah. So no, yeah, that's tough to, remember that you maybe shouldn't be suspicious, even though that clearly something's going on.
Well, and I think Bryn, heard Gozer and that, or heard Emily say she's keeping an eye on Falzarin, which wouldn't have been maybe, I would like to think Bryn was observant, but anyway, the whole thing was, I think, I should have played it differently, but it's done. It's over with.
Well, I think I disagree with that because, one, Gozer called Falsey out for
Yeah, I did.
whispering to Izzy in front of you all.
Yes, that's true. Once we knew that I didn't, but I was already skeptical before I knew I didn't see.
Sure.
And then when she called out, I could continue to be skeptical. That makes sense.
Yeah.
But
And you commented in 34, session 34, Kickstart My Heart, when Falsey was kind of acting strangely when you guys showed up to save him. So I think
true.
I think Bryn's actions were justified.
So we're jumping around here, but let's go back to when we the dotted line really didn't have a lot go on until we got to the cave, and then we could talk about. Unless you guys can think of something else, I think the going down the steps is where I wanted to focus on the Gozer attack. And I think Mike mentioned something to me about that. Is that part of the comments that he made, Emily?
Yeah.
well,
Yeah,
I would
so-
like to ask you, John. Leland, he's DM, so he can't intervene. Did you realize that Gozer was not going to get an attack when she was yelling to Blaive? Because as soon as she said that, I was like, you are going to be exhausted and your rage is going to end. I knew it was happening while she did it.
Hoping to be able to throw my axe, because I have an axe of returning. So I was hoping to run down the bottom of the stairs and throw it and get an attack that way. But I
Right.
guess that wouldn't even work because it has to be a melee attack, doesn't it?
No.
No.
I have to look.
If you were to use your action to make your attack, your
it's just-
your effective threat range is 70 feet with
But
that
when
axe,
you
so-
asked to dash to get the full distance of the stairs, I was like, that's your turn.
Yeah, then it was too late.
I was dying inside. I was like, don't do
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
I don't think I even realized at the time. I think I
Okay.
even said on Mike how far it was down the steps,
Yeah.
I think I asked Leland to move me down.
And then I did ask right before my turn, too.
Yeah, you did.
It was.
And I did realize it and was like, dang it.
Well, yeah, and that's funny. When you were dashing, like, I literally, when I mentioned it on mic was when it came into my head.
Right.
But also, I gave you the distance of the stairs when I shouldn't have, because the way I described it is it was not a straight staircase. It had a landing and it curved. There was no way for you to tell how long the stairs even were.
So, thematically, it worked, but Emily should have known better.
Exactly.
Yeah, maybe. And like in the past, we've had issues with you, like making sure you make an attack or whatever, right? So
yeah.
But I think Mike brought up a point if you wanted to read what he wrote. I don't know what he wrote. He just told me.
Yeah, he had a clarification on the barbarian's rage.
We had said that Gozer drops out of her rage if she didn't attack on her previous turn, but it's only part of the conditions for dropping out of rage. I can continue to rage if I take damage as well. So if that freaking frog had hit me...
Yeah, it had happened to miss. So.
Yeah, if the freaking frog had hit me, I would have been raging still.
Oh.
Do we trust Leland with that dice roll, or... No, I'm just kidding.
Well, I don't think he was thinking that either.
No, I don't think he was thinking that either, yeah.
He also says rage. I drop out of rage after a minute. I do think I have a thing where I can continue it to 2 minutes, though. I'd have to look that up. But after a minute, I would drop out of a rage, but... He doesn't think any of our battles have even lasted for a minute yet, so... Or if I drop unconscious, I drop out of the rage also.
Feels like they've lasted a minute.
So that put us at a pretty good disadvantage going into that battle, right?
Yeah, hugely.
Yeah, and I don't think Shaft was full health either, because I went down pretty quick.
Yeah.
I didn't even know if it was much of a disadvantage. Had Gozer actually dropped as a result of it, then it would have been a clear disadvantage, but there was little to no effect on the outcome of that fight had Gozer been raging anyways.
She lost her ability to rage moving forward.
I would have had a third attack.
That's true. That's true.
You had disadvantage on skill checks, which didn't really come into play.
Later, Falzern starts calling Izzy immortal, so I mean, we probably would have never beat her.
And if Gozer had been raging, she might have tried to go after Izzy, so...
Yeah. I'm so mad I don't have a slashing weapon. I really wanted to just slash the wires and be done with it. Oh my gosh.
I was going to bring that up next. The first thing I thought when I saw the wires was yank them out of the back of their heads.
Okay.
Yeah, that was a good thought.
Which is good,
That didn't work out.
Well, because you rolled less than the DC.
Right, exactly. I just didn't do it. And then the second thing was if I could just go through and slash him. Of course, with my pokies, I can't do that. So, I think we both need to look into some kind of a slashing weapon for those.
Cuticle cutters? What was it that you said, Leland?
I'll give you a pair of cuticle scissors.
Just kidding. Scissors, knife, I don't know.
Dagger, you could stab
Dagger, something, yeah.
Yeah, and I also didn't explicitly describe just how thick they were. But of course, in my mind's eye, they're like a 2 or 3 inch diameter kind of dealie. They're not like a HDMI cable worth of a wire, right? They're like
right.
Umbilical cords.
Oh, geez.
Essentially, they basically serve that purpose.
Image.
So then the next thought was destroy that where the
podium,
the levers are,
which
right?
is where
Get rid of the podium.
Isabella helped out on that front.
Yeah.
Which again, when he's describing me that like podium, I'm like, well, I guess I'll try to flip stuff because like in my mind, I'm like, I just need some dynamite. That's really what I wanted, but.
So, I guess we can talk theory here if Bill and Leland don't say anything, right?
Yeah.
He was strapped to a table. So you could almost feel that he was there against his will. But he seemed awful.
At least at first.
If he seemed confident that whatever was going down was going to be a good thing. So theoretically, he could be strapped to that table to gain some additional power somehow.
Willingly strapped.
Right, exactly. So that's one theory I have. And when he does later talk to us about his new spell abilities, as John, I sort of knew things, but as Shaft, I sort of knew things also. So that's the only reason I mentioned the fact that I asked what kind of spell, what kind of
magic?
Magic it was.
Yeah, and I told you it was eldritch magic.
I wouldn't have asked that as John. I asked that as Shaft.
I was really hoping you were going to knock Gozer off her feet.
Same.
Yeah.
I was really underwhelmed with that. Initially we thought that I rolled and missed, and I was like, oh, this is terrible.
But your shield, yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you, Leland.
Because, like, we wouldn't have believed
you.
you.
Even hit me.
I can't say that you've never done anything for me now.
I guess I could put this another way and say, Bill, you leveled up to 5, right? All right, let me ask you this. How's Fireball? How's Fireball going for you?
It's pretty sweet, actually.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
I'd like to see you use it.
Yeah.
You probably will.
Okay, good.
His face is all red. It's like, yeah, he's level 5.
So that's my theory.
But, like, also, like you said, John, you didn't have to look up Eldritch. Elena, like, I don't know Eldritch magic, but I'm choosing not to know more about it because Bryn doesn't know.
Bryn probably wouldn't.
So,
right.
Yeah, I'm trying to steer away from things like that, and
I guess what I'm getting at, the important thing is I don't want to ever mention anything on mic that John knows that Shaft would know.
Yeah.
And if I say something
Which
to
is
Shaft,
hard.
I always think, does Shaft know this before I say it?
Right. Well, and of course, knowing extended Shaft background, then it does make sense that it's at least semi-identifiable by Shaft, but certainly Brendan Gozer would not have any experience with being able to differentiate the difference between the two magics.
Magic Missile and Eldritch Blast, they don't know the difference.
Sure, exactly.
Yeah. Magic is magic.
I just wanted to
actually
go over how that podium functioned mechanically. So during that fight, the first two that rose, and the way they described it as they weren't quite done cooking. So there was a certain amount, once Izzy activated the podium and the wires lit up with the green light, there was a certain number of rounds before the flesh golems would come to life, or would come to full term, to stick on the pregnancy analogy.
The umbilical cord.
So it was 5 rounds before one was fully done and would be able to get up and would be full strength. But of course, Isabella could manipulate, if she spent her actions to do so, manipulate the podium and be able to get some up more quickly. After 3 rounds, she could raise one, basically half strength. So like those two you guys fought, it was not the full. I think the flesh golem was like CR5 in the monster manual. It was not the full flesh golems that you guys fought. Had you stuck around to fight the two that were at the very end, you guys would have died probably.
No, it was a good move to get the hell out of there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Pulling Fuzzlern along reluctantly.
Away from the love of his life.
He's the only one fully rested.
Well, because none of you really asked him what went down in that cave, like, explicitly.
It was a long night with Izzy.
We don't want to know.
Well, right away, that's not what we were worried about, and we all sort of thought we saved him until a little bit later where he's telling us about this deal, and I think that's when we're like, okay.
See, yeah. I would argue that Shaft knows your motivation is magic. Shaft knows a little bit of background about where we were and who she is, and I would argue that he's already sort of put most of this together.
Leland, you said that no one actually explicitly asked what happened, like all the details.
You were in that cave for a long-ass time. It took them quite a few hours to get to you. Who knows what else went down in that cave.
Right.
What was the statement that Gozer made? You're blinded by magic, and Bill just goes, or falls around and goes, that's fair. That's fair. It's like, okay. That's what Shafts is saying, like, yeah, he's blinded by magic.
I think Gozer probably assumes he was tortured, because that's what Gozer would do.
Right.
And that's the end of it.
So Gozer does believe there was some form of coercion in order for Falzarin to agree to what he agreed to.
Well, he said it was death or do that, so yeah.
I think Bryn's initial thought was that he was someone to be saved and just, like, shaken in his boots there. And then I played it incorrectly being so suspicious, but then after knowing they were whispering and then what he said, Bryn is like, what the heck? But she is very interested in the fact that it wasn't promised by Izzy, but if she and her people were to help us, we could get so much done. And so much money and so much power and stuff like that. Like, that does interest her.
But, yeah, I think that's all a ruse, right? Because if she's that powerful, she can take care of these things herself. The only thing I can think is she's looking for some kind of protege. I mean, think the Emperor and Darth Vader, right?
There's always
and
two.
he wants the power, right? Come to the dark side, Falzarin, right? I see that. But as far as us needing her to finish our job, I don't trust her enough to follow along with that line. I think he does, because that's his motivation. But I think as far as Shaft is concerned, we don't need her help. It's just, I mean, hell, she'll probably just kill me for the bar tab alone.
Maybe that's what started all of this, Shaft. This is all an elaborate ploy to get back.
The whole thing was started with her being like the damsel in distress against her own flesh golem. This has been in the works for a long time.
Yeah, it's interesting to think back on that and
how we met.
Theorize about what exactly was happening there.
I know. I legitimately there's been a chapter like that is closed now. Like, it's weird. I feel weird, and where the rest of the story is now in this direction that it's pointed.
Was she trying to lure in the Arcanist with having that flesh golem out? And she had to be pretending to be attacked by it and hurt by it.
I've thought about that, like, since we recorded, and like, how did she get in that situation where she was laying on the ground, right? When we first, if I remember correctly, yeah.
I think they were working together, and to give him the appearance of power and like strength in the community or whatever he wanted, like a rep. Like, she built this, played damsel in distress in order for him to look better.
But he stole the armor. He stole the armor from her cave.
As far as we know.
No, we don't know
that's what
that.
we've been told or assumed.
Chucky told you. That's what Chucky told you, and Chucky led you to the cave in which he stole the goods from.
Chucky would not lie to us.
So if your theory then, Bryn, then you think Chucky did pull a fast one on you? Kind of, because he still got handed over to Detmer in the end. But
Okay. Part of it is me forgetting that's where he got his armor then. Okay.
No, Chucky didn't pull a fast one. Chucky's at Detmer's right now. He's more than likely. I pray that he's still alive. I wanna see Chucky.
You know he's
Poor
not.
Chucky.
Huh? You know, I know he's not.
Oh no, I'm thinking of Sardo. See, it's all so long ago. I don't remember.
Yeah, Chucky just sort of went in a back room with the bodyguard.
Okay, so he didn't pull a fast one. Okay.
I think it's an interesting theory to think that Isabella was trying to lure Chucky
to get her armor back.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we happened to just stumble in and kind of interfere with that. I hadn't thought of that.
And then she became interested in you when she saw your magic.
That's right. Understandably.
Oh, jeez.
Well, let's face it, she was interested in Shaft.
Powerful magic.
I also feel like Bryn was a little bit tipped off when, like, Gozer or whoever's throwing your little tome away, and I was like, why is it so important to you that you'd search for it? Like, we don't want her to know where we are.
That's
so it's like,
concerning,
crap.
too.
Yeah. So, but anyway, she got a little bit blinded by the promise of, like, help and, I don't know. Power, for sure.
Bryn wants to rule Aspara now, apparently.
I don't really, like, think that. I think she wants to not have to worry about anything but what she wants, right? So,
yeah.
And, like, not take jobs from other people anymore in the meantime.
Shaft was also concerned about retrieving the iron token as well. Why was Shaft concerned about that?
Well, because there's crap we don't know about Shaft as well, so...
I think it's a good thing to have in your back pocket.
The sister that's with another halfling somewhere, it's probably frickin' Shaft's twin or something, like, for all we know.
I thought it was more like Shaft. You were going to search for it, and he's like, oh, well, let's get on our way. I had to help you find it so we can get going.
Oh, okay. Yeah. That makes sense.
No, that does make sense, but no.
Yeah. He wants to be able to get in touch with Izzy for some reason or another, and I don't know. I'm super suspicious of this other halfling.
I think maybe Bryn needs to sneaky into Falzarin's bag and steal that thing back.
Yeah.
Not all halflings know each other.
Yeah.
Okay,
Come
you
on.
say that.
I mean, there's more than one halfling in Aspara. Do all elves and half-elves know each other?
Yeah.
There's a network.
Oh.
We stay in
We all
touch.
lived
Yeah.
to be so long, we probably know each other.
Most of my family's up dancing around having a good time up north. Right?
Yeah.
I am not the typical halfling.
No, you're not.
Most of them are happy and they drink and they like to have parties and think
They're
the
just
Hobbit.
hanging out at Bag End,
Yeah, exactly.
not interested in adventure.
Shaft is Bilbo after the ring.
While having the ring.
Well, I don't know. There's other reasons for suspicion, but that's like in further episodes, I think. But
Well, Leland, you sort of figured out we have, 15 days now together?
Yeah, it's barely been 2 weeks.
Wow, that's crazy.
I mean, where we've recorded, it's been, I think 15 days.
I think from a character standpoint, we're all getting to know each other and understanding each other better, but we all have our own motivations still, and I think that's part of growing this party, right? If we're on the same page on something, we got each other's back. When we're not, we tend to, I don't know if we'll stab each other in the back, but we'll definitely not,
I wouldn't
maybe not
count it
help
out.
each other.
Yeah, I don't think any of you would be in a rush to pull a knife out should one get stabbed, but
I mean, I think we still all want and need each other to accomplish our goal. It's just I believe the goals are shifting enough now where we all just have to decide what's important to our character.
Yeah.
Okay, so let me look here real quick. I think we covered everything I have in my notes. We're on our way to Port Landis, I believe. is where we
Randis.
ended.
Randis, come on.
That's what I said. Port Randis, right?
Yeah.
What'd I say?
Portlandia.
You typed Portlandis earlier too, so
Oh, okay, yeah.
it's
That's
just the
what I meant.
Shaftism, he never says it right. Portlandis.
Sure.
Well, you didn't mention how you almost died.
Oh, yeah.
Again.
I think I said that.
That was very close.
Yeah, that was
This
bad.
is the, I believe this is the third time that I've had to make death saves. And also, I think this is the third time I've rolled a 1 on death saves.
Really?
And Lucky has saved me
yeah.
every one of those times. So I've always been on the edge of death.
Remind me again, if you didn't have lucky, what happens when you roll a 1 on a death save?
2 fails.
It's 2.
2 fails.
Oh,
man.
jeez.
That
If
is
you
harsh.
roll a 20, you get 2 saves. And if you roll a 1, you get 2 fails.
Okay, I don't think we ever said that before. That's cool.
If you roll a 20, actually you get a hit point back and are back up.
Oh,
Oh, really?
what?
Yeah. You get a single hit point and you're up.
So it's
That's
an auto
cool.
success.
Yeah,
Wakes you up.
that's cool.
Yeah, that's
I like
that's
that.
scary, man. If you didn't have lucky, whew.
What other annoying character would he come up with next?
If Shaft didn't have Lucky, he would have been dead in your call when you guys were fighting Hank. Like
Yeah.
he would have been dead like 25 episodes ago.
There's also the small matter of the commitment that Falzarin has gotten us into to
Yeah.
go find the sister Erica.
You guys agreed to help him. I think you got yourself into that commitment.
He never said. A matter of fact, he said he was going, and he didn't expect us to go, or he would
said,
like us to go.
Yeah, he would like it for us to go.
Right. So okay. So there was one other thing. Back when he made the phone call to her back in Gold,
Phone call.
he mentioned to, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe he mentioned to Izzy that we were on our way to what's the name of the town with
Victor.
the diseases? Victor, because I told him to say that, and she said my sister is there.
Yeah.
Right. So the only thing I can think, she has multiple sisters, or they're using this teleportation option
Yeah.
to be able
Multiple
to bounce
sisters.
I don't remember if she gave us
I
a
bet
name
there's
or not.
portals all over the place.
She did when she was talking to you, Fall. She did mention her sister in Victor. Her name's Jessica.
Okay.
Yeah, which Jessica is part of what I overheard at the end of one of those episode excerpts, like, and you thought it was fine for us to listen, but we didn't know what the heck was going on. Like they're in a tower or something.
Oh, yeah, the post-credit in.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
Jessica was at Victor.
So I was totally expecting him to say, like, you know, get Jessica out of the group, and then he says the name Erica, and I was like, what? Okay.
So is this some kind of deal where you get your name if you are a Patreon subscriber?
That's right.
Yeah, hey, Jessica.
At the $25 level.
We need to start a Patreon so she can start giving us
I was
money.
just going to say, are we going to retroactively collect that, or what?
Oh, yeah, it's got to go back to whenever the episode released. I think you're in about $50 already.
I think in 35 is when I, as Elena, stopped trying to personally keep minding about keeping the party together. Because we talked about this before in after parties. Like, you play Bryn, and whatever happens, like, we'll make it work. And so Bryn really did get kind of convinced and power hungry for, like, the idea of a bunch of powerful witches or wizards or whatever on her side. So
Yeah, I had a bit of worry about that as well. But after these 3 episodes, I'm not too concerned about, you know, what's going to happen regardless of what our characters decide to do in game. I'm kind of over that for the time being anyway. I have more faith in you, Leland.
Oh, shucks. So 30, I guess that moves into 35, right? 34 was predominantly that combat, right?
yep.
Yeah, 35 was pretty much heading to Port Randus, and our, I said it right, by the way, our discussion, pretty much a lot of it was the discussion with Falzarin about what the hell was happening. And then I believe there was a whole Gozer side story thing.
So there was the part about
we didn't get to listen
Falzarin
to.
probably leveling up or whatever that we didn't hear. And then Gozer and Thuft, right? At the end?
Yep.
Yeah, we didn't get to hear that, unfortunately.
I think we hit on most of that already.
Pretty much.
I really want to hear Gozer and Thuft. I feel like it'd be cool.
We just looked at the stars and pointed out the constellations and said that we love each other and gave each other hugs.
I would rather listen to you two than Falzarin and Isabella, because, like, that's just Bill and Leland.
I'm offended.
So you're okay with Emily and Leland, so then the obviously the bad one is Bill. You just don't want anything Bill.
No. The friendship versus, like, the weird Isabella Falzarin
Who
relationship.
said anything about weird?
I
Perfectly
think
natural.
that being strapped down to a table for fun is weird.
No kink shaming.
So I got a question for Emily.
Yeah.
Emily, tell us what you think what is your relationship with Thuft? I mean, tell me what you think.
Are you
Would-
jealous,
would,
John?
I was just gonna say, John's getting jealous.
Getting
Not at all.
jelly.
Do you think that Gozer would take Thuft out if necessary?
Yeah.
Take him out to dinner or
Yeah. Treat him to a nice restaurant.
take him out on the town?
Buying some wine.
How do you think Gozer views Thuft?
As a tool to be used for her end. For what she wants. And, I mean,
No.
he's a plaything right now. She is enjoy playing with him and having him do stuff for her and calling her king. And she's really getting off on that. And
I like the plaything idea better than the, like, you march in front of us tied to a rope and find the traps, like that.
I think that's what Shaft likes about him.
Yeah.
I'm good with him being there for that reason alone.
it's what she needs at the time. Right now, she needs somebody that's going to make her feel good about herself. And he does that.
She's just a woman looking for a man to support her ambition.
But you'd kill him in a heartbeat, so it all makes sense. Yeah, I've been looking over my shoulder for 23 years.
Yeah, it's very reminiscent of relationships I've had.
Have noticed that you wait till I start eating dinner before you start eating dinner.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Well, if Thuft heard the inner thoughts of Gozer, he would be appalled.
I know, poor Thuft, man.
He's
I was
smitten.
I was pretty worried for Thuft.
Thuft has nothing but pure love and devotion for King Gozer.
I thought Thuft was going to get hugged right into the grave by Isabella.
I honestly think if you guys went back to the cave with Thuft, do you think he would, and confronted with the hobgoblins and the other king and all of the people that are in that cave, that he's going to stand by you and not cower immediately and run back to his original king?
Gozer right now believes that he would stand with her. That's why she's giving him shit. She's buying his loyalty.
Is that why she cares about treasure all of a sudden?
Gotta give stuff to Thuft.
She does seem to really care about treasure suddenly.
It comes and goes. It's what Gozer fancies at the moment. When I think about it. Yeah, I mean, Gozer does care for Thuft, yes. If Gozer got killed, or if Thuft got killed by something else, Gozer would be upset. If it came down to where Thuft was causing problems and Gozer needed to kill Thuft, Gozer would kill Thuft.
What if Shaft killed Thuft?
Gozer would probably kill Shaft. Well, it depends.
If Thuft were to die in a way that you weren't okay with, like a bad death or whatever, would Gozer shed a solitary tear? Just right down the cheek?
I don't know if Gozer cries like that. There's something that happened that Bryn has an idea about.
Yeah.
That pretty much wrecked Gozer, and she's still recovering from that.
So she can't cry? Like, doesn't have tear duct?
I think she's pretty much dead inside right now.
Okay.
She'd be more likely to get angry.
Yeah.
Yes, she would definitely be angry.
True.
Yeah.
Okay. So she's a woman who needs compliments, but a man who gets angry when he's sad.
Yeah. Yeah, half work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, rest assured, Thuft is not going anywhere. He shall continue to live out his days.
That we know
A
of.
happy servant of his king. I thought, honestly, that Isabella would kill him.
Yep.
Same.
If she had got off one of those crushing hugs, it would not have been pretty.
And then Gozer would have gone after her without her rage, and then Gozer probably would have died, and then I'd be having to roll up a new character.
I mean, you saw what she did at that podium, and that was just not even meaning to.
I think it would have been interesting to see what could have happened if you guys didn't heed my warning and take off. Because probably she would have killed all of you, but...
And then it'd be the Falzarin show.
Well...
Wouldn't you like that?
Not necessarily, though. I mean, would she have killed you and then also, like, overkilled you so that you're permanently dead? I don't know.
Oh, like you saying we would just be unconscious,
right?
Then she would perform experiments on us or something.
Everyone unconscious, but then who knows what would happen next?
She could use the body parts and have little shaft arms on
on the Gozer's body.
like a little Tyrannosaurus Rex.
Yeah.
I see us being like useful to her, and then she like has us under some kind of spell where we're like slaves for her or something. She's pretty powerful, right? I see her,
I'm not
being
sure
like
that
zombies.
she would have like fully killed it. I think she would have knocked everyone unconscious, and then who knows?
And then controlled us with magic to do what she wants.
Yeah, I'm not sure. It would have taken, I think, some fancy negotiation on Falzarin's part for her just not to kill you.
Yeah. Well, thankfully, everyone listened to me, or were at least
came to our senses,
scared enough to be like, all right, well, if he's not wanting us to save him, we're out of here.
I wouldn't say we were scared. I would say we were being sensible.
Right. The main goal was to get me out of there, and once I was free and took off, then no sense in hanging around.
I think it's a good opportunity to sort of go through what, at this point in the show, in this episode, where do you think, like Bryn, what are your thoughts on the three of us and where your head is right now?
And I have to like try not to tie in what we've already done.
No, only what Bryn knows
I know.
at that point in time, episode 35.
Bryn is choosing to trust Falzarin because of the power that could be had in the future if we team up with these witches.
Okay.
But is very annoyed that we even had to go do all that, and he couldn't just defend himself and whatever. The guilt is kind of gone, basically. Like, she's like, all right, we got him back. I'm clear. She is annoyed at Shaft for taking credit with the bag of holding, getting, pearls or whatever. She thinks Gozer truly has a soft spot for Thuft and loves Thuft.
As much as Gozer's able.
As much as Gozer's able. Because of you've told me in our little chat before. Yeah, I don't know. Going forward, I'm I know Shaft is pretty obsessed with still finishing the tower job, with Detmer on our case, and we have a contract and stuff, so I don't know. She's definitely aware that she still needs to be working with Shaft, whether she's annoyed with him or not, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that Gozer is a good fit for us accomplishing those goals for sure, and then is just hoping for Falzarin's help with that job as well. So.
Okay, Falzarin, as much as you can say, how do you think Falzarin feels about the rest of the party?
I think you've asked me this not too long ago, or someone did. I don't think a lot has changed, except that he's becoming a bit more street smart, I think, and less trusting. I think when Falzarin first made his way onto the mainland and ran into you guys, he was pretty naive, pretty trusting of strangers, unless they gave him an obvious reason not to be. And now he is becoming more and more wary of, what people's intentions really are. On an individual basis, I think he probably trusts... He thinks of Bryn as being a bit of a wild card and very self-serving, despite that kind of being what Shaft is like also. But I think there hasn't been a reason for Falzarin to not be trusting of Shaft. So Shaft, I think, remains the person that Falzarin trusts the most. And then Bryn and Gozer, and I think they're pretty similar. They're wild cards. He thinks that, given the circumstances, they might not be reliable. If their interests weren't in line with Falzarin's, then I don't think he would trust that they'd be there to have his back.
What about Thuft? What do you guys think about Thuft?
I think he's a tool. He's a tool.
Yeah. Bryn thinks he's someone to be protected, and was really irritated by some of the times and ways that Gozer's treated him.
I don't trust a goblin. They're shifty. We'll use them.
Well, Bryn has
traps.
no experience with goblins, and the way that he admires Gozer and looks up to her and calls her king, she's like, you should be treating him with, the respect that he's giving you.
Yeah, but goblins are weak little puny guys that...
well, yeah, sure, you can tell Elena that, but Bryn doesn't know that.
No, right. I'm saying Shaft thinks goblins are puny little guys that are going to kowtow to anybody that's stronger than them, so he knows that he's just...
Well, in my experience, Gozer's the strongest one I know, so...
Right.
What about Falzarin? What's he think of Thuft?
I think Falzarin would probably have read of different types of goblinoids and would have a similar viewpoint as Shaft, knowing that they're weak and cowardly and their allegiance is easily swayed one way or the other depending on whatever's going to save their skin, and they can't be trusted because as soon as someone else comes along with a better deal for them, they're going to tag along with that deal. So I think that's probably what Falzarin thinks about Thuft. I think Falzarin maybe, thinks Thuft is kind of funny on occasion, although actually Thuft has kind of used Falzarin as the brunt of a couple jokes, if I remember correctly.
True.
But yeah, overall, I think he doesn't trust him at all. And isn't worried about him per se, because I think Falzarin thinks he could easily take him out, but wouldn't trust him with an important errand or something that, an important secret or something.
Yeah, I think if we sent him off with a message, he'd never come back.
Yeah, probably. Bill loves Thuft, but Falzarin doesn't trust him.
Leland, can we ask you what you think Thuft thinks of the party without you giving anything away?
Obviously, Thuft shows love for Gozer. Thuft does not like Bryn, does not like Shaft, and like Gozer, thinks Falzarin is completely useless.
I've never ever felt that Thuft didn't like me.
Yeah, no, he doesn't like Bryn or Shaft very much.
I don't think he really interacts with us too much, right?
Not really. He predominantly has interacted mostly with Falzarin, but Thuft thinks that Falsey is the butt of every joke, and Thuft loves that Thuft isn't. Basically, Thuft sees himself as superior to Falzarin, for sure. Maybe not so much. He doesn't think that way with Bryn and Shaft. He doesn't like Shaft because he thinks Shaft acts and speaks above his station. Mm-hmm. Maybe not quite in those complicated terms, that's not really but a more simplified version of that, like Thuft looks at Shaft and says, oh, he's small like me. Why is he not acting like me?
Yeah.
And he looks at Bryn and...
I don't even want to listen to this. This is cool.
It's heartbreaking.
Well, I think...
so sad.
It's not that Thuft hates Bryn. It's just that Thuft also...
Well, you used the word hate. You can't take it back now.
I said Thuft doesn't like Bryn, but Thuft looks at Bryn in relation to Gozer as if Bryn is Gozer's tool.
Competition for his position, sort of.
No, not even that. It's just like literally if Bryn is King's tool, then why is Bryn not Thuft's tool as well? Kind of thing.
Oh.
He because he mimics a lot of his own thinking and mannerisms.
So he thinks Bryn would do whatever Gozer says.
Yeah, and he thinks that Bryn should, for sure.
Okay.
But again, Thuft tries to mimic a lot of what Gozer does as being the sincerest form of flattery, right? Again, to get on Gozer's good side, kind of thing. But a lot of these thinkings in his are a lot more simplified than that, though, right? Like, he is just like a goblin. Like, they're not...
I'm scared to ask what Gozer thinks of any of us. Jeez. Now, at this point.
Well, Falzarin is a little more than a pet. Shaft is a means. Shaft and Brandon both are a means to an end. Before Shaft and Gozer hooked up, she was pretty much aimless and didn't really have meaning in her life. She didn't have purpose.
Gave her purpose.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. Like, when you say a means to an end, like, what end? If she's empty inside,
something to do.
Okay.
Somewhere to go, somebody to talk to.
A distraction.
When she wants to talk.
A distraction.
Yes.
Shaft gave her a job to do with him, and he's using her. I look at that as sort of a Han Solo Chewbacca kind of thing, right? I have this big scary thing that I can take along with me that keeps people from having to fight. They'll just come along.
And he gives her things to beat on. And you've given her things to beat on.
Yeah.
You need to work on your Chewbacca
to believe.
Emily. Yeah. I think that's probably trademarked.
All right, so I can pretty much guess what Shaft thinks of us, but...
Let's hear it.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Well, I think Shaft, I think we already hit on what Gozer is. Gozer's a intimidation tool that he can use. I think he saw the opportunity to be able to use this for collecting bounties, and she's needed something to do. She seemed really cheap and easy to take advantage of, and somebody that could help him out. I think Falzarin is something that he respects as far as needing somebody who he understands magic and the power of magic. I don't think he necessarily feels that Falzarin is reached his potential yet, but knows that someday he could be a good, strong ally in the future. And with Bryn, I think he's confused with Bryn. I believe he thinks Bryn is a more adept assassin based on what he had seen. She's also part of the underworld, and would understand him better than she does. And when he interacts with her, he looks at her and says, in confusion, and wonders why she's thinking the way she's thinking. Because you're like me. Why are you not seeing things the way I'm seeing?
Because I'm not like you.
Shaft. Well, from Shaft's perspective, you're in that dark underworld,
we're
right?
in the same field of work, but not for different reasons and with different pasts, right?
You and I are, you know what the important thing is, and you know what we need to do, but you're deciding to go a different direction, and that's counter to what we do in this underworld.
Which maybe that's what annoys me. Like when I say Bryn's annoyed with Shaft, that's probably part of it. Is like we should understand each other better than we do, but we don't. Yeah.
Well, I think with the two of you, Detmer is the part of the Venn diagram that overlaps, right?
Right. Yeah.
But
exactly.
Outside of that little smidge, right? There's so many other differences.
There's a lot of assumptions on Shaft's part that Bryn is a lot more adept at what she's doing and been doing it a lot longer than.
Well, and I think I led Shaft to believe that at the beginning too. I with my first kill and hit, like I led you to believe that I've just been doing this forever or whatever.
Right, and you also got to understand. I mean, once again, I'll use a Star Wars analogy. Detmer is more of the Jabba, right? And you think of Shaft as the guy who's sort of screwed Jabba over maybe a couple times too many, and he doesn't want to do that again. So when it comes down to, hey, let's get the hell out of Goldham. Hey, let's go get the tower job done. It is comes from a place of I need to
fear,
self-preservation,
I need to accomplish. Right. So these side quests are not necessarily in my best interest and could lead to much worse things for Shaft. So that's his motivation, and you know he doesn't have anything against you guys necessarily, but if you're leading him away from his objective, that could be bad. Now that being the case, he's also obviously done some things like this in the past, which got him in trouble. So, he's not necessarily going to make the right decision. So that's the way I'd sort of view Shaft's intentions.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Nobody likes anybody else.
Yeah, basically.
Together out of mutual benefits.
Falzarin did, and until you guys continued to make fun of him and knock him unconscious.
Just once.
Yeah, so I would say there are things that we like about each other, but you're right. It's all for a benefit that we like that thing about them. So
we have only known each other 15 days.
Yeah.
Other than Gozer and Shaft.
If we like it, we'll put a ring on it at some point, you know?
Okay, I think we pretty much hit on everything in 33, 34, 35. Is there any other questions?
I think we have one from the mailbag that we didn't get to last time around, right?
Mailbag, is that what we're calling it?
Yeah, we get all sorts of letters, all sorts of fan mail.
Well, someone might have thought Bill had that ready to go.
That's all right, I do.
I'm hoping you guys have it because I don't have it handy.
I do. So last AP I mentioned we had a question from Jessica that I thought would be more relevant for this one. She asked, can a character ever change their class? Like midlife crisis, and I don't want to be a sorcerer anymore. I'm being called to the path of the monk. Would they start at level 1 of that class? Would they retain their previous skill set to whatever level they had achieved? That kind of thing. So
that's really interesting.
So why did it apply to this one? You thought Shaft and Falzarin would die? Or?
I've never heard of such a thing. We should talk about it.
What do you mean you've never... Oh, wait. Does this mean Falzarin is doubling on something? Oh, I'm so blind.
Light bulb.
Wow. You guys just witnessed how slow I am. What?
Wait.
So what is Eldritch Magic then?
I am shocked.
I don't want to know this. Bryn doesn't know this, and I'm going to screw it up.
So a character doesn't lose any levels in a particular class. If they meet the prerequisite to move into another class, then they can do so. And if they were a level 3 rogue and maybe you wanted to add a few levels of fighter or vice versa, I think the fighter, you need a 13 or higher in strength or dexterity or whatever it happens to be. There's lists in the handbook. your level 4 you could take it as a level 1 fighter, and it's called multi-classing.
Yeah, and you can decide which level of what you want to take from that point forward, right?
Yeah. So in that example, the next the 5th level could be either 4 of rogue or 2 of fighter.
So you take one level at a time.
Or you could pick a 3rd class should you meet that prerequisite.
Have you ever known anybody to do 3 classes?
I have not, but I would love to try. Should we do any one-shot stuff, I will absolutely make a tri-classed character.
That just seems frustrating to me.
If I were to do it again, I would take a couple levels of rogue. It seems that seems to be the smart thing to do.
A 2-level rogue dip is great just to get that cutting action.
Right.
And hey, an extra d6 on the sneak attack, or is it 2d6 at level 2?
Yeah.
Whatever it is, it's a great addition.
Okay, so that's what it was. My mind is blown right now.
So yeah,
What?
multi-classing is basically taking 1 or more levels of a second.
So am I allowed to know what
Type
other thing
of-
you are? What are you?
What are you talking about?
What is Falzarin?
Who said anything about Falzarin?
You're making an assumption.
No, this assumption is totally happening based off his response to my mind being blown.
I'm quite lost in the
I do know
in the
you.
angle that you're going at this, Elena. I
Oh
have
my
no idea
gosh.
what you're talking about.
I'm gonna start Googling Eldritch Magic and going down the rabbit hole I said I didn't want to go down.
Okay, is there any other questions from anybody?
Well, now I want to be something else too.
Yeah, Elena has some questions.
I have a lot of questions, but you know what? It's probably better because Bryn wouldn't know and suspect. And oh man,
So yeah, the terminology that's often thrown around is taking a dip, and that's usually when you've got a good chunk of levels in your starting class, and then you maybe take 1 or 2 levels from a second class to get some of the benefits that class would give you on their first 1 or 2 levels, or whatever the case may be.
More often than not, to hit some synergistic mechanic that increases your power.
I have a question. What's a good synergistic mechanic with a rogue?
Another level of rogue.
I'm asking for a friend. I'm asking for a friend. You know.
There's
Well, see, with the rogue sneak attack, the rogue levels like more linearly than a lot of other classes. Whereas some classes, and 5e does a pretty good job of keeping everyone kind of the power creep, kind of very even. But some classes just get a larger spike at specific levels than others do.
So I shouldn't be a rogue that all of a sudden starts learning cantrips and stuff.
The rogue's main feature being the sneak attack that scales with the rogue level, right? So
Yeah.
if you want to keep that as powerful as it can, then you stick in rogue.
I think 5e gives a lot of subclasses that allow you to do things.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
rogues can do some spells.
Can
and
you?
things like
Okay,
that.
so I went the path of the assassin. Can you choose to start subclassing within rogue to something else?
No, you're
Okay.
in your subclass.
Dang it. Okay, that would have been cool.
But, it's nothing wrong with just becoming more powerful within your class, too.
There's so much wrong with it, John. I'm missing out on everything.
No,
I have
not at
FOMO
all.
bad.
I think
well,
rogues can become very powerful.
I all of a sudden
at
have
higher
FOMO.
levels.
Freaking
We'll do a
Falzarin.
one-shot someday, and you can try something else.
She has to DM the one shot.
Oh,
She
no.
can't try anything.
Do not. That hasn't been on
she's
record.
gonna make
Oh my
a multi-classed NPC.
I'm not DMing anytime soon. I'm so
Yes,
nervous.
I want to play. God damn it!
I'm so nervous.
Yeah, we've had some people request that we run some games for them, and, just friends and whatnot. I think
In
it'd be
real
fun.
life?
That's right.
I'm not used to
Wow.
playing in real life. We'll have to show up with our
We're gonna have
laptops and
to have you guys mail us a bunch of miniatures, and
So that brings, part of this podcast that when we started it was introducing you two to Dungeons and Dragons from, never played before to now. Now we're 5 episodes released and probably another, 3 that are recorded, Leland?
Yeah, about that.
Something like that. So you're looking at, you have almost, 40, 50 hours after you cut everything out of gameplay. What are your thoughts on Dungeons and Dragons overall, you two?
I think that's what Bill's obsessed with. He's watching videos, he's listening to podcasts, Not that that's a bad thing, but I haven't read the player's handbook even. Like, I've only learned what you hear on the podcast, right?
So I guess my question is, what do you feel? Do you feel it's something you enjoy? Do you recommend it to other people? Do you, go back in when we start recording this, back in February or March, and what you thought of it then to what you think of it now?
Well, obviously Bill likes it. No, I'm just kidding. I like it too. I'm like so into, I really enjoyed role-playing episodes, so the last 3 that haven't been released yet were like all role-play, and I'm enjoying it so much more than I used to, because at first I was just all about rolling in the fight and stuff, but I've really enjoyed trying to develop the character, play like the character, think like the character, and I'll throw this out there. I think the next 3 episodes coming up, like, Bill does a really good job role-playing compared to previous episodes as falls are in, especially compared to the beginning.
Does it become easier the more you do it, or do you just become more comfortable
with us,
with your character?
Oh yeah,
and with us.
Yeah, we're more comfortable with you guys.
I think I'm getting a lot more comfortable around the thought of really like investing myself in the role playing and giving it everything I've got, sort of thing. Whereas I always knew that was going to be something that would take me a while to get used to and to feel comfortable doing. I'm very, very comfortable with you guys, but I'm just not the last thing I would have ever wanted to do in high school was take a class in theater and get up on stage. Like, that's just terrifying.
Oh, same
I do
here.
not like to perform. I don't like to be the center of attention. So role playing something that just, takes effort for me, but I like the challenge.
You're not saying that I do. But I have had, a dream of, being a stand-up comic or something.
Yeah, I think it's
I think I'm funny.
You feel a lot more comfortable doing it than I do.
I like to think I'm funny. No, I don't think we'll ever let role-playing games go out of our life at this point, whether it's D&D or something else. It's been really fun.
Yeah, I absolutely love that you guys convinced us to do it, because it's flexing a part of my brain that doesn't get a lot of exercise these days, like being creative, and
it's like the rest of your body. Ba-dum-bum.
Exactly. Now at least my body may be loose and saggy, but my brain will be just rock hard.
Ooh, yeah, rock hard. Nice and
that
tight.
rock hard brain.
Yeah. No, I love it. I'm having a blast. I'm really enjoying the challenge of trying to get better at role-playing. I also just love the fact that there's just the player's handbook is a huge book of interesting stuff you can read about, and mechanics and lore.
You're handling Wizard way
stuff.
better than I thought you would.
And then
better than you started, right? Like, he's got it together now, I feel like.
There's also like a million different other books you could pick up and read, and I love that stuff. I love fantasy and all the lore and backstory and crap. It's great.
I am extremely nervous about the mentioning of me DMing Leland. It just seemed, because I haven't read through and I don't know all the rules. That's what makes me nervous. I'd be totally fine to improv with you guys all night, but like, if I don't know the rules and how that might affect what I'm trying to do.
Clearly, I don't know the fucking rules either.
Well,
preach, brother.
So let's just do it.
You do pretty good.
We can have Ian DM for us.
He would.
That went all right.
Yeah,
that was fun.
We did do that one shot with him at Origins.
We should play a whole one shot where Leland can be Theft or another character to get out of his system.
I'm just saying, he knows the goddamn rules.
He does know the rules as well. No, yeah, right. I gotta do some dreaming. So, listeners, give me some ideas. Subject,
well, I wanted to interject though, as far as how far Bill and Elena have come. Like, I mean, we're to the point where you guys have enough of a handle on the game where we can get into multi-classing. Okay, like that kind of says it.
That's
all,
pretty
literally.
good.
Yeah, you guys are doing great.
My mind is still blown because I didn't know that was a thing. Jeez, noob.
So the only other thing that I think is new, at least to all of us except for Leland, is podcasting. So my question to you guys is, and I answer this myself too, do you feel that you are on a podcast when we play D&D.
Why don't you go? You and Emily go first.
All right, I'll go first. I don't think about it at all. I think about just a bunch of us getting together and having a good time. I really don't think about anybody listening. Not until I hear the final episode that's released with Leland putting in all the effects and everything and hearing it. I almost listen to it like I'm a fan of the show listening to it and don't really think about us when we're recording. I separate it completely. What about you, Emily?
I separate completely. If I think about the fact that people are actually listening to the words I'm saying, I will shut down. I won't talk. So I can't think about it.
Maybe you can play a mute next time and think about the people listening.
That'd make for great podcasting.
Mime everything, and you guys have to interpret what I'm saying.
Yeah, that's a great for podcast character.
Yeah.
I remember when we first started listening back to the episodes, hearing my voice in the other room, you know, if Bill's listening on his phone or something, or listening to my own voice being really weird. And now it seems like totally more normal. So I think that's a gauge right there where I'm like more comfortable hearing myself. But yeah, I think whatever. I don't know. I was worried about trying to keep.
Are you aware?
Oh, I'm aware of it
for podcast.
For sure. I'm aware of it because like for a while there, I was trying to keep the party together and everything, like in my mind with my actions. I will say the last play session that we had last week, like I think I did a better job of being like just the character. Bill role played really well. Everything was really fun. I had a really good time. The next few episodes, guys, are going to be really good.
Yeah. This is a bit off topic, but I definitely, not that I didn't ever trust Leland as our DM, but I have gotten a lot more trust in the fact that he's going to work out whatever stupid stuff our party decides to do, and it's going to be interesting, and, you know, like, even if the party splits for whatever reason or whatever, so... I didn't ever not trust Leland, but he has built a lot more trust with me after the past handful of episodes that now it's not even a thought that I worry about.
He gives you more magic, and now that equals
do
trust.
Whatever I think makes sense.
Right.
Well, no, he's a super creative, which makes him a great DM. So
Yeah, Leland's doing a great job.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think when I just started throwing stuff at him and he made it up on the spot is when I knew I didn't have to worry about it.
You're like, this is good.
Yeah, it wasn't a lack of trust in Leland's intentions. It was more just like, oh man, how's he going to deal with if we throw him some crazy curveball that doesn't make sense narratively? How's he going to pull it back together? Like, that could be really challenging, but I don't worry about it anymore.
So all the curveballs are going to be thrown soon.
All right, yeah. I got my bat ready. My Louisville
We're going to really put him to the test.
To answer your question, I used to think about the fact that we're on a podcast. I don't know when that stopped, but I definitely don't anymore. With the exception of just, you know, trying to watch my language and keep this family friendly. I don't want to say anything super inappropriate for the, you know, varied listeners out there, but otherwise...
Now I want to know what you talk like in normal life when nobody's listening.
Yeah, my Ned Flanders filter.
So I'm the only one that realizes we're on a podcast while we're playing. Leland,
I don't really
you
think
realize
about it.
right?
No. Believe me, I am well aware that we are creating something that someone else has to listen to.
So the two of us seem to be the best ones, all right? Everyone else is just...
I mean, I keep it in mind that things have to be entertaining and interesting and that we can't just all sit here twiddling our thumbs.
Right.
And I try and make interesting choices.
I think the only thing that comes up to me is when there's a long silence, I feel like I have to fill in the gap.
Okay, well...
Other than that...
That being said, remember how the last little bit here... Like, to realize you're on a podcast also means that I don't have to come up with a quick response as fast as a podcast should be interesting and fast-paced. Like, we've started I'll speak for myself, started being like, okay, I need a minute, taking a break, and realizing Leland will cut that out. So it's not...
If you need time to think.
Yeah, if I need time to think.
Yeah,
if
sometimes
I
I will, sometimes I won't. Who knows?
Leland's chaotic.
I know that you do, though, because listening to you did the last play session without any edit other than just trying to sync it all together, which was work in itself. And we heard clicks and barks and, you know, noises and pauses, and I was like, oh yeah, Leland does quite a bit to make us sound better than we really are, so.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. When I listen back, it's like a fan, because I hear all that Leland's put together, and I think about it, and I go, well, it sounded a lot worse in my mind when we were doing it versus the way it comes out at the end. And I also know that what the work involved in. So more importantly, I want to know what Leland thought, what Leland thinks about. Are you aware when you're DMing that this is for a podcast, or are you just playing D&D?
I'm predominantly just playing D&D. The way I DM on mic is no different than the way I would DM in person. Of course, the real self-awareness, it's there when I'm preparing, but when I'm actually doing it, it's like it is what it is. Obviously, whenever we finish a recording session, or there's something that we do, like the solo stuff, right? Like, obviously I'm always thinking about where it's going to fall in as far as where the episode's actually cut up. And sometimes it doesn't always work out the way I think it's going to. Like, session 35 was 3 distinct recording sessions that were cut up and put together. All of Gozer's solo stuff, that was obviously Emily and I after the fact. The first half of the regular stuff was the tail end of one of our recording sessions, and then right in the middle was the beginning of the last time we played. And it just happened. I think, listening back, like, I obviously know where they get smashed together, and I can tell just by the way some of the RP unfolds that, yeah, clearly this is where the gap has, and it doesn't quite jive with what came before it always. Maybe it's not entirely evident, but
it's not that obvious.
Super evident to me.
It wasn't to me when I listened back. Even being
the player and knowing where things should have stopped and ended, like, I mean, I guess we had to skip some stuff, but yeah, no, it seemed good.
Speaking on the topic of editing, I just want to say, if any of our listeners aren't listening with headphones in, or maybe listening in your Bluetooth in your car or something like that, I highly recommend getting some earbuds or some headphones, because Leland does a lot of really good ambient music and sound effects and stuff like that comes through really well with headphones.
Yeah, it's actually mandatory.
Yes.
Yeah, it's mandatory, actually.
Sign on the dotted line.
Yeah, on the dotted line.
One more thing to say. Can we all agree that we will never, ever, 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 ever do this live in front of people?
Oh my goodness. That's when you can be your mute character.
Everyone's got a price, Emily. We just have to figure out what that is.
Yeah,
I would love to do it live.
Christy just did it.
Yeah, that's really cool. What Christy did. Upcoming guest.
Let's agree that
Wait, do people know that?
Yeah.
Well,
no, we should say that.
Yeah.
We have two upcoming guests, original Incorrigibles.
Yes.
From the OG days.
Which is this is when where we all got started on Twitter, where we all met, and Christy and JT.
Not Justin Timberlake, I wish.
We do need to thank people like JT and Christy and Pep and Patrick, who have taken the time to come on our show and be NPCs, and we have a lot of other people that said they would be happy to do it, and we know that it takes time out of your day to come on here and play around with us and have a good time, and we want everybody to know we really appreciate their time when they do something like that. And I think it adds to the podcast, and it brings people in from the board game community. That's our idea, to let them know how RPGs work, and you can have a good time with this. And I hope that's the message is getting across to everybody that we're bringing in and listen to the show for those things.
Oh, it adds.
Hopefully, at least we plan to have the fall kind of jam-packed with a bunch of guests. As far as my workload goes, having guests on actually does diminish it quite a bit. And the fall is busy for me usually, so hey, more guests.
Here we go.
No objections here.
Yep.
I think it's fun. Yeah, it's great. I'm really thankful that, like you said, John, that all those folks have taken the time out and prepped and come on. And
yeah, I mean, really, the board game community, it's an awesome place to be, right? I mean, we've met tons of people through cons and through interactions on Twitter and different places. And, we're just a couple of schleps from Indiana that just likes board games and build a game room and threw some pictures up on Twitter. And, before you know it, you get to meet a lot of people, a lot of, big names in the board game industry are all really nice people to talk to. They're really approachable, and we feel really happy we've got to meet a lot of them.
We approached the heck out of them.
Yeah.
So
Very aggressive with your approachingness.
Well, yeah, I'm not too shy when it comes to that kind of thing.
Yeah, we've witnessed it.
I always meet everybody, and I don't have any problem talking to anybody. And then Emily's the nice one that sort of puts the latches into them, right? And I just break the ice, and then she goes in for the kill.
And then
Kills them with kindness.
she goes up with the gozer, listen to our podcast.
Right. Exactly. But that leads me to the other thing I wanted to sort of add into a couple things. I was going to do some shout outs. People really, they bring us up. I've heard some different podcasts that have brought up the Incorrigible Party in the past, and it's anything they put out there for us is always just it's a nice thing for people to do. So I just wanted to do a couple of shout outs here. First off, Game All Night with Chris Whitpan. If you guys haven't heard that, check it out. Chris is a great guy. We met him a couple of years ago. I just caught up on a few with Paula Deming, Mike DeLuzio, and Marty Cannell. I was listening to those the other day, and Chris does a fantastic job. He's a listener, and he's up to speed on where we are on the show, and he's made a lot of comments. So I wanted to take a moment to give a shout out to Chris and all the great things he does with his show. If you haven't listened to it, you should tune in.
Yeah, I highly recommend. He's a great guy.
We had some fun with Chris at Origins, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Boards and Swords, Chris Renshaw. When we started doing this, we talked to Chris a little bit about getting some of his ideas on how we were approaching it. And Chris has always done a lot of good stuff. They have a Boards and Swords and a couple other shows that they do. Emily's done some artwork for him, Dirt Bags of Holding. And, just give him a shout out. Those guys are great. They've mentioned us on their show too. And personally, I wanted to do a shout out to Sarastro for miniature painting. He's a great guy. I do a lot of miniature painting. And if you are a miniature painter, definitely check his YouTube channel out. You can't get a better teacher than Sarastro. So that's all. If anybody else has anything to shout out? Anybody else they want to?
Probably could have prepared something if you had let us know we were doing it.
Yeah, thanks, John.
I think we've mentioned this in the past, and we keep forgetting to do shout-outs for people.
Yeah. I just wanted to look really good and make you all look really bad.
Mission accomplished.
Mission accomplished.
Yeah.
Well, I attribute all of our success solely to myself, so why would I shout to anybody? So.
Shout out to Leland Steele for being a great DM.
Yeah. All kidding aside, you're doing a fantastic job, Leland.
I think you all are all doing an amazing job, and you four really do keep the show interesting, and is what really is drawing people in.
That's great, but I would like to bring up something. You're not really upholding your end of the bargain here, Leland. You have sleeves on your t-shirt tonight.
That's true.
Oh, dear God.
What is happening?
You are right. My Dungeons, Dragons, and Deadlifts shirt without the sleeves is in the wash. I actually need a shirt with sleeves that says my other shirt has no sleeves.
Yeah, you really do.
For laundry days.
We can make that happen
hilarious.
on Redbubble.
I will say though, today I have been overheating like a motherfucker because I have sleeves.
You have
on.
sleeves.
Yeah. Key to not overheating in the summer: take the sleeves
Just
off.
don't see how that little bit of fabric is causing that much of a difference.
It's science,
because
Emily.
Yes, it's been scientifically
We've
proven.
talked about this.
It's been scientifically proven that the deltoids release the most amount of body heat.
You know what?
Google
I wasn't trying to make
that.
our longest after party the longest after party, but now this tangent might make it.
Don't bother fact checking that. Just take our word for it.
Look, there are studies ongoing on this.
Yeah.
On this topic,
longitudinal over multi-generations.
It's a really big concern. There's
on
people
the armpit
overheating.
area.
Yeah, people getting like heat rashes in the armpits all across North America, all across the world. This is a global.
Climate change is real.
Yeah, it's only going to get worse. You'll never see sleeves in another 5 years.
I thought we were going to full body suits, like unisex or unitards or whatever.
Unitards. Oh man,
That's fine as long as they don't have sleeves.
I am not asking to see
They all
any of
have
you in
sleeves.
unitards. That's
No, you just cut off from the elbow to the clavicle,
Well,
and you can wear like long gloves, right? You just get those delts out. Get 'em out.
gloves. Get them out.
I might still have my old wrestling onesie that you could wear, Leland. It definitely did not have sleeves.
It is sleeveless. Yeah.
All right, I got to shed some weight before I put on anything that's skin tight.
It was embarrassing. Let's just say that.
Yeah, I haven't seen any pictures of that.
There are none.
All right. Well, we always know it's time to wrap up when Emily gets so giggly. So
She's not drinking anything right now. She's just
she doesn't
need
need it. She doesn't need to drink anything. It's just a certain point in the night where she just giggles at everything.
Getting close to Emily's bedtime, she gets giggly.
Is that what it is? 9:30. She starts going.
I was gonna say we started early today.
I don't know what you've been putting in that water.
Anybody have anything else they want to bring up?
I think we can sign off.
Yeah, not that I can think of.
I think there's some good stuff coming up.
Oh yeah.
Hopefully, we'll all survive to episode 40.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah, guys, tell your friends. Get them listening.
Gojo's
You want to be able to. You're gonna want to be able to
sleep
chat
tight.
about these episodes.
Don't fuck with theft, or course it'll kill you. That's what we learned tonight.
Yeah. Yeah, I forgot to say, Thuft is leveling up, right? So,
It's true. He's getting more and more.
He's
powerful.
multi-classing.
Yeah.
well, shit, I didn't even think about
Could have
that.
multi-class to wizard. Yeah.
He's taking a dip of wizard. Taking a dip of wizard.
Thuff be king wizard. Thuff be wizard.
Exactly. He would do it. He would want to be competing.
I've been John and Shaft. Thanks for listening.
I've been Emily.
I'm Elena.
And I'm Bill.
And I'm Leland Steele, your sleeveless DM.
Not currently.
And that's our show. Our intro and outro music was created by Josh Jarvis. For your own musical inquiries, contact jamesmercymusic@gmail.com. All other music and ambient noise is courtesy of tabletopaudio.com. The Incorrigible Party is sponsored by Critical Hit Design. Visit criticalhitdesign.com for all of your graphic design needs. You can find more info on the characters and world at incorrigibleparty.com. Enjoying the show? Have any questions or rules corrections? Email us. contact@incorrigibleparty.com or reach out on social media. The Incorrigible Party on Facebook and Instagram, @IncorrigiblePar on Twitter, using the hashtag AfterPartyIP for a shout out during our behind the screen after party episodes that drop every 4th release. Happy adventuring!
My internet's been much better since we put that thing out in the game room.
Good. I don't know what a dildo has to do with that, though.
There's your soundbite. I'll have to mark that one in SFW.
I think you have to leave this in.